Hello everyone, it is I, and today I decided to bring back the Why You Should Read series. So today I just wanted to talk about an author that I absolutely love and think everyone should read, and that is Adrian Tchaikovsky. Adrian Tchaikovsky is just a master of storytelling, and he has written so many books and is so imaginative, and he's just really the best. So I think that you should all check him out. So the first reason to read him is, of course, the huge catalog, the huge selection that you can pick from. Tchaikovsky has written tons and tons and tons of books, probably 20, I'd say. And from what I've read, they've all been great. I think there's only one book of his that I have tried and not been able to get into. So the author that I want to tell you guys about today is Adrian Tchaikovsky. Sadly, I don't have many of his books to hold up, but these are what I do have, so that's what you get. Tchaikovsky is a master storyteller. He's written so many books, and that is the first reason you should read him. He has a huge catalog. He's written, I'd say, about 20 books, and all of them have been fantastic from what I've read. I think there's just one book of his that I couldn't really get into. And honestly, I think that might have just been me at the time. So I'm gonna retry it and see if I like it more the second time. But that book is Guns of Dawn, by the way. But Alan, Library of Alexandria, read it maybe like 2 months ago and absolutely loved it and raved about it. So you might like it as well. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Like I mentioned, he has a massive catalog, and that means that there is a really big variety of books to choose from. Depending on what you're feeling, you could go a whole bunch of different routes. You could go with his kind of flintlocky steampunk vibe, Shadow of the Apt series that I have here. The first book is Empire in Black and Gold, and if you guys are interested in reading that, again, head over to Library of Alexandria because he's hosting a read-along for the first 4 or 5 books in the series over the next couple months. So check that out if you want to start with Adrian Tchaikovsky. So you could go for his steampunky vibe, Shadow of the Apt series, or you could go for like full-on sci-fi space opera with his new book, Shards of Earth, or his Children of Time series. The Children of Time series is one that I talk about quite a lot. If you want to go for a more fantasy vibe, you can pick up The Tiger and the Wolf. That is a fantasy series, and it's basically about different tribes of people who can shapeshift into whatever types of animals. Or you could go with my favorite Tchaikovsky book, which is Cage of Souls, which combines fantasy and sci-fi together to form a really cool blend that I absolutely love, and I think more people should pick up. So that's one reason to pick him up. But I think the biggest selling point that I can think of for you guys is definitely his imagination. This dude is so imaginative that it's honestly crazy. It's insane. I wish I was that imaginative because some of the books that he comes up with are just really, really crazy. So a fair number of his books actually have to do with insects, such as the Shadow of the Apt series or the other book I held up, Spiderlight, and Children of Time as well. So in Shadow of the Apt, we are following different races across this land, and they are divided into what are called Kindin. And there are a whole bunch of different types, like Wasp Kindin, who can fly and shoot like energy bolts as stings. There are the Ant Kindin, and the Ant Kindin have a whole bunch of different cities, and each city, the people of that city are able to communicate telepathically, and they're all in service to the queen of that city. There are the Mosquito Kindin, who feast on blood and can use dark magics. And there are a whole bunch of different races. They're divided into the apt and the inapt. The apt are the ones who are more technologically advanced. They're the people who are creating all of these kind of steampunk, different kinds of artifices and whatnot. And then there are the inapt races, which are more kind of on the outskirts, and these are the more mystical races who have some sort of kind of magical affinity. Along with that, there's the Children of Time series. It's currently sitting at 2 books, but I do believe that there's supposed to be a 3rd. And that is the series that he gets the most praise for. Children of Time won the Arthur C. Clarke Award because it is really just like a triumph of imagination. I've talked about it before. You might be tired of hearing about it. But if you need a refresher, the series takes place far in the future, and humans at this point are able to completely terraform planets. And so on an exoplanet far away, there's a scientific research project going on called the Exaltation of Beasts, and this lead researcher, Ivana Kern, has created a nanovirus to infect animals with, and the nanovirus greatly speeds up evolution. And so her plan is to infect a whole bunch of monkeys and release them onto this exoplanet. And things go awry, there's a terrorist attack, and basically all of human civilization is destroyed. But when that happens, the virus gets released down onto the planet below and ends up infecting the insects of that world. And so in the book, we're following successive generations of spiders as they grow increasingly intelligent and begin to form a complex, technologically advanced society. Meanwhile, it's like hundreds, thousands of years later, and some refugees have escaped from Earth to find a new home for themselves, and they arrive to this exoplanet, and chaos ensues. And it's a really incredible series. The imagination required to actually think of how spiders would organize themselves into a society is really interesting to read about. And the way that they keep innovating with their technology is super fascinating. I think that you would definitely like the book if you are a fan of 70s by Neil Stephenson, which is a book I've talked a lot about. But yeah, it's just really cool. So he's super imaginative with everything that he does. All of his books have been really fantastic from what I've read, and I've read a fair number of them at this point. So that is probably his biggest selling point, if you ask me. Along with that, his actual technical writing ability is really great. He, with so much practice at this point, he's able to create a very tightly woven book. And so all of his stories, they're not bloated like a lot of sci-fi and fantasy can sometimes be. He is able to kind of pare down everything that doesn't need to be there and just get straight into the story. Pretty much all of his books are either fast-paced, or even if they're not, they hook you in from the very beginning with a cool concept and cool hook. And yeah, he just brings you on a really cool journey with great prose, fantastic characters that I love, and a super cool world building, obviously. And so his writing is really strong. I would say he's not writing purple prose like Guy Gavriel Kay. He's just writing the opposite of purple prose, just kind of normal writing, but he does it in a very technically proper way. His books are not at all like Robin Hobb, but I do say, despite not liking her, that she has some of the best technical writing ability that I've seen. And I think Tchaikovsky is definitely up there on that ladder. The next reason to read him is his character work. His character work is really solid. I absolutely adore the characters in the Shadow of the Apt series at this point. Honestly, I was very heartbroken at some of the things that happened in this series. I'm currently on book 7 out of 10, and I've either loved or liked all of them. I liked the first book, but I do think it was either the first or one of the first books that he ever wrote. And so the writing in that one was a little bit shaky for me. at some points, but I feel like Adrian Tchaikovsky's worst writing is in that book, and I feel like the worst of his writing there is about better or on par with the best of Esselmont's writing, which, I don't know, sorry Esselmont. And so he's able to craft like some really, really intriguing characters who are always flawed in some ways. They have a lot of blind spots, I find, but they have like such great relationships between them, especially in this series. But in all of his books, he has incredibly believable and tragic characters. And so if that's what you're looking for, I think that you would like him as well. And then the last point to bring up, which I've kind of already covered it, but his world building. His world building is incredible in everything that I've read. I think that he is able to, like, there are a lot of authors who write books and a lot of their books can feel the same, even if they're in different series or in different worlds. And Tchaikovsky's books, they are so different that I feel like they could be written by entirely different authors, you know? And so, sure, the Shadow of the App series and the Children of Time series focus on insects. That's a similarity. But like his book Cage of Souls, which is my favorite Tchaikovsky book, feels entirely different from that. His Tiger and the Wolf series is totally different from that as well. That series is a lot more of a like traditional fantasy series that's set way back. It's almost kind of like Clan of the Cave Bear vibes. And so all of his books feel very, very different. He has the book Doors of Eden, which came out last year, and that, I think, was one of his first books that took place. And Doors of Eden, I think, was probably, if I recall correctly, his first book that took place, like, now. Maybe not in 2020, but, like, it certainly took place, like, in the very, very near future. And all of them are so different. And so even if you don't like one of his series, I think that you could jump into another one that sounds more to your taste. If you're not a fan of Shadow of the App for whatever reason, I still think that you should pick up Children of Time or Shards of Earth, his most recent one. That one was fantastic as well. And so he's just a author with a huge variety. And so his world building in all of these different books is always very, very different, but very, very well done. And so his world building in all of these different series is very, very different, but very, very well done. And so I think that you would like all of his books if you are a fan of great world building. And so, yeah, this author has a ton of variety. There are so many options for you to choose from, and if you don't like one of his series, just jump to another one, and I'm sure that you will find something that you like in this author. So yeah, those are all of the reasons that I think you should pick up Adrian Tchaikovsky. I hope that you guys do, and if you guys have any questions about which books you think that you would like, let me know down below. Tell me a little bit about your taste, and I can deliver you a curated pick for what I think you would like best. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a good one, and goodbye.